After the Omios family moved from their rural village to the historic house at Melasania 32 in Madrid, they began experiencing disturbing and unexplainable events. The movie is inspired by real life incidents tied to this very house. The story begins in 1972 with two children playing marbles inside a house in Madrid. One of the marbles rolled into a forbidden room. Hesitant but curious, one child dared to retrieve it, was terrified to find a mysterious woman sitting silently in a chair. As he reached for the marble, the woman looked directly at him, sending him fleeing in fear. Fast forward 4 years to 1976. A new family, the Omios, moves into that very same house. The family includes the parents Manola and Candela, their three children Rafael, Amparo, and Papaya, and their elderly grandfather Fermin. Upon arrival, Fermin sensed a dark presence looming over the house, warning everyone that something felt wrong. However, his concerns were dismissed. Amparo, still heartbroken from leaving her boyfriend and overwhelmed by her flight attendant training, struggled the most with the transition. Meanwhile, her younger brother Paya was smitten by a girl he spotted in the house across the street, which lifted his spirits. As they began settling in, the family found old belongings of the previous occupants scattered throughout the house. That night, strange events unfolded when Amparo, searching for her grandfather, witnessed the bedroom's door slam shut, trapping Raphael inside. Peering under the door, she saw demonic feet beside her brother. When the family finally forced the door open, Raphael was found sitting dangerously on the window ledge, almost falling to his death. Despite the terrifying ordeal, the family attempted to resume normal life, overwhelmed with financial stress and daily responsibilities. Manola worked as a mechanic while Candela was employed in sales. Amparo stayed home to care for her grandfather and younger brother. One day, Amparo heard odd noises and discovered Raphael talking to himself. As she followed her grandfather through the house, a marble rolled into the same eerie room from the opening scene. Raphael entered it and the television turned on by itself, playing cartoons. Suddenly, a strange figure on the screen addressed Raphael, inviting him to come play. When he tried to shut it off, the chair behind him moved on its own, and ghostly hands emerged from the TV, grabbing and pulling him inside. Meanwhile, Furman repeated unsettling warnings, saying something in the house wouldn't let them stay. When Amparo returned with him, they found Raphael missing. Desperate, the family called the police and launched a search. While out looking, the home's disconnected phone mysteriously rang, and Amparo heard Raphael's cries for help on the other end. The call abruptly ended, and they soon heard screams coming from a long sealed room. Upon breaking in, they found no trace of Raphael, only to later witness a shadow behind the curtain. Thinking it was Raphael, Amparo pulled the curtain open, only to be seized by the same terrifying old woman from before. Traumatized, the family grew more anxious. At work, Candela met a mute girl named Lola, who communicated using a whistle. Lola's mother warned Candela to protect her children and handed her a prayer book, claiming it would help ward off evil spirits. Meanwhile, Amparo discovered a number in the Holt House directory and called it, hoping to reach a previous resident named Sukhjana. But the moment Amparo mentioned the house address, The woman abruptly ended the call. Papaya, meanwhile, had been exchanging letters with the mysterious girl across the street, Clara. She stopped peering at her window, communicating only through the letters sent via a string tied between the horns. Clara cryptically claimed to know Raphael was safe and instructed Papaya to meet her in the basement. When he arrived, the old woman suddenly attacked him. Though terrified, Papaya managed to escape. Soon after, Amparo began feeling sick and noticed a large, strange handprint on her stomach. Eventually, she discovered she was pregnant. One night, she thought she saw her grandfather in the kitchen, but his image shifted to that of the old woman. Then, speaking in Raphael's voice, the figure told her to pick up the phone. On answering it, Amparo was led to the clock in the next room, where she heard Raphael's voice. Smashing the glass, she found and rescued her brother inside. Later that night, while Candela watched over Raphael, she saw the old woman standing in the corner, vanishing the moment she screamed. Distressed by her pregnancy and believing her future was ruined, Amparo attempted suicide. However, the lights went out just as she was about to drink poison, and the glass slipped from her hands. From that night onward, the entire family suffered increasingly horrific supernatural attacks. Papaya received threatening letters claiming, "You are mine." Manola eventually saw the terrifying woman himself and fled with the family to stay in a hotel. However, their bank refused to let them sell the house until the loan was repaid, forcing them to return. Candela lost her job but obtained Lola's address and visited her home. There she learned from Lola's mother that her daughter could see spirits. They agreed to help and came to Mlasna 32. At the same time, Amparo visited Sukhjana. She was greeted by an elderly woman who questioned her about the family and then ominously predicted that another child from the house would soon disappear. As Sparrow waited for the water, she discovered an old photo album containing a familiar image, a woman who resembled a portrait on her wall. Also in the album was a picture of a boy who looked just like the woman. Sukhjana returned and revealed the woman in the photo was Clara, her sister, who had been born male but identified as female. Clara had always felt like a female and dreamed of motherhood. One day, her parents discovered her in a compromising situation with another boy. Unable to accept Clara's identity, they punished her by locking her in her room, the same room where Raphael had been found. Over time, Clara fully transitioned, but the shame and judgment from her family eventually led her parents to commit suicide. Sukhjana, blaming Clara, severed all contact. Clara's house was connected to Sukhjana's, and her loneliness and pain ultimately consumed her. Even in death, her maternal instincts remained strong, causing her to seek out children in the house. First, she targeted Raphael, but upon learning of Amparo's pregnancy, shifted her intention to the unborn child. As Lola attempted to contact Clara's spirit, she became possessed. The telephone rang and a cold wind swept through the room. Clara's ghost began wildly attacking the family. Only Lola's mother and Raphael were left stranding when Amparo arrived and tried to calm Clara, expressing empathy for her tragic past. Though Clara was briefly pacified, her anger resurfaced. Amparo, knowing Clara wanted her baby, stabbed herself in the stomach with broken glass. Distracted by the act, Clara let down her guard. Manola seized the moment, leaping out the window with the possessed Lola to end it all. He died on impact, but Lola survived by landing on top of him. Clara's spirit finally left her body. Days later, the family packed up and moved out of the house, using the money from Manola's life insurance. to repay the home loan. In the final scene, the camera pans to the room at Melasna 32, where the chair mysteriously shifts once more, suggesting Clara's spirit still lingers, waiting for another child.